This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Witch of November by Daniel Copeland. Part 1. Chapter 1. Tommy felt alone. Not just lonely, empty. Outside of his kitchen door stood a scene vastly different from that of their farm on the Kansas plains. A waist-high chain-link fence surrounded a small patch of dead grass. On one side was an oil-stained one-car concrete pad that stretched to the gravel alley. His 1,200-acre paradise reduced to brown grass, hard dirt, and a rectangular pad of greasy concrete. The brownstone house Mom had rented on the east side of Cleveland shared little with their Kansas home, except a few pieces of furniture that made the journey in a U-Haul truck. Suddenly, across the street something moved in the shadows. Tommy stepped closer, peering through a window pane covered with glistening droplets of water, which shattered the porch light into 1,000 miniature rainbows. But whatever he'd seen was gone. Maybe it was Paul's adventure plans that troubled him. Mom had told them not to leave the house, but after 3 days of Paul's pestering, Tommy caved in. Tommy was almost 14. Paul was 14 months younger, but Tommy was the cautious one. A fact Paul pointed out half a dozen times during the last 3 days. Paul promised they wouldn't go too far. And besides, Halloween didn't begin until midnight. Yet despite Paul's reassurance, something vague and distant nagged Tommy. And it wasn't just disobedience to their mother's warning. "I don't know about this," Tommy said. He stood by the back door, made of thin wooden panels, and a window of single-pane glass. The door seemed old and fragile, and Tommy wondered how it had survived so long. He grabbed the doorknob. It wobbled as if something were missing inside. "Wuss," Paul grinned, zipping his denim jacket. Tormenting Tommy, especially for anything resembling a dare, was Paul's favorite pastime. "I ain't a wuss," Tommy hissed, trying not to awaken their mother. "You're scared about the stories Dad told us?" "What stories?" Tommy asked. "Halloween stories about the witch in Cleveland." "What witch?" "The one Dad told stories about. The witch that comes on Halloween and kills people on the lake." Tommy shook his head. "Not that kind of witch. You don't understand." Paul sang, "Tommy's scared of the witch. Tommy's scared of the witch. It's not Halloween yet. So, no witch. We's going? Or are you chicken?" He flipped his collar against the back of his neck, then turned and trotted down the stairs. "I ain't chicken," Tommy called out softly. "But maybe we should. I mean, we've only been here a week. You know, wait till we know the place better." "But it's a full moon. Come on, we never miss a full moon." The practice of venturing out under the full moon's light evolved, as many children's games do, from a single spontaneous episode in the not-so-distant past before their dad died. Thinking about the past was something Tommy tried to avoid. But no matter how hard he tried, some things caused him to remember. For some reason, he never understood, the full moon was one of those things. He remembered standing on a grassy knoll. A cold eastern wind rocked him back on his heels. Before him, square, freshly dug pieces of sod tilted up from the earth at odd angles. Clutching a bunch of wildflowers, which were mostly weeds, Tommy stared at his father's name engraved on gray granite. He laid the flowers on the dry grass in front of the tombstone, and then whispered, "Goodbye, Dad." A chill from the night air crept up Tommy's back. With a shiver, he returned to the present, bit his lip, and studied Paul's face. Tommy said, "Mom knows about us playing outside during the full moon." Paul shrugged his shoulders, turned, and walked away. Tommy glanced back into the house, and then stepped into the damp night air. But no full moon greeted him. Only the dingy yellow hue of sparsely placed street lamps. Blue-gray clouds pressed down on the city like thick ropes. Even the air smelled bad. But Tommy couldn't find words to describe the stench. Tommy tightened his muscles against the cold and damp. He took one last look over his shoulder at the door to his new home, which vanished from view as he rounded the corner and turned onto the street. "You said not far." Paul pointed.